Hello, folks. Welcome to the penultimate MCU panel discussion and review for Captain Marvel. Patreon.com/Genesis Evangelizani if you'd like to contribute to the channel and, make us millionaires. And Twitter if you want to get in contact with me so you can give me your credit card details. And Facebook if you want to, take some pictures of the cash you're going to send me in the mail. This is Callum.
Aye.
Yeah. So without that out the way, I guess we should start with the review. What did you think? Well, I'll say a couple of minutes. What were your initial thoughts on Captain Marvel?
Right. I saw Captain Marvel when it first came out at cinemas way back in March, and I haven't seen it since. But I roughly know what happens because I can't view it anywhere else here because it's not out on digital or anything like that. So based off what I remember, Captain Marvel is an extremely bland film. Just simply put, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel is extremely bland. The film itself and the plot itself is just very simple, but there's nothing inherently wrong about it. But this whole film is trying to tell us who Captain Marvel is, what she's like in preparation for Endgame. Because as we all know from the post-credit scenes in Infinity War, she's going to be very important to Endgame. So this film is trying to get us to learn about Captain Marvel, but what this film does in explaining who Captain Marvel is in a sensible and good way, it fails at that. Captain Marvel is a character I have no interest in after watching this film. All the characters around her are fine. Samuel Jackson is great as he normally is anyway, in every role he's in anyway, so that's not that surprising. But the plot itself and the film itself, it's just so bland and boring. At first I thought it was okay, but thinking about it more and more and more, I really, really don't like this film at all. It's not the worst MCU film, but it's pretty darn close.
Yep, I would say agree with that. It's very bland, bordering on crap. It's not quite terrible, but it's at the same time, it's kind of like there's not even anything about it that's that outstandingly shite that I can sort of get a morbid fascination with it. It's just the most stale film in the entire MCU. It's so fucking just not interesting at all. God, I don't even know what to say about it. I'm so perplexed by how not interesting it was. So I guess it'd be easier to get into the details of it rather than talk about it as a whole.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with the main
Captain
character,
Marvel,
the Carol Danvers, aka Vers, aka Captain Marvel. I'd say there's potential for a good story there, but it just didn't really.
and a good character.
Yeah.
It's like Captain Marvel's film, as we've said for all these MCU films, most of them at least, the main character is the best part about them. Like Tony Stark in all the Iron Man films, he's the best part about them. But with this, for me, she's the worst part about it. I really, really don't like Captain Marvel in this film. I don't like her characterization. I don't like how they set up this whole story of her being too emotional, but that doesn't get developed on or anything like that throughout the film, at all. Brie Larson's performance as Captain Marvel, I think, is horrible. I really don't like her performance in this film. It doesn't help that I don't like Brie Larson in general, but but being unbiased and just talking about the film itself, her performance is so wooden.
I wish she was more obnoxious like she's in real life, because at least that would be entertaining. Whereas in this film, she's just flat as a pancake. She's
Yeah.
so boring.
What annoys me the most is that the writing for her makes her seem like she's so charismatic and funny and
She's
quippy
not.
and all that, but she's not.
She's got that horrible like Peter Davison syndrome where she just gawps at the camera like, oh.
Yeah, like a lot of people joke about this in the reviews that they've done, and even in the trailers leading up to the film. Brie Larson's like face is so simple in terms of when she's just looking at the camera, and it's just so stone-faced. Like I think a good example is a shot in the trailer when she's in the cockpit of a plane, and you see her face. She's just nothing's there. Nothing is behind. There's no feeling of emotion behind that face. And no, Brie Larson, this isn't a personal attack. No, this film and your performance is just really, really bad in this film. And the writing doesn't do her any favors. The plot doesn't do her any favors. But the performance has to be at the very least, even in bad films. Like, for example, Thor Dark World. Best part about it was Loki. He gave a great performance. With this film here, I can't think of a single, at least decent performance. Maybe Samuel Jackson, but even then, it's a much more stripped-back version of Nick Fury, which, in a sense, that makes sense. But the payoff of this film, and you know what, with a certain thing that you've been waiting for, this whole MCU review that you've been discussing, how fucking shit the payoff is unbloody believable. And
This
it's
film-
used for a fucking joke.
This film makes Winter Soldier worse now. But yeah,
Thankfully,
we'll get
that
onto
one part is such a small part of the film, but yeah, it ruins Nick Fury's backstory for me in a lot of ways.
It's just a joke now.
Yeah, it's played off as a joke, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Shield is Hydra, and I got in a fight with a cat.
Last time I trusted someone, I lost our eye. That's exactly what he said in Winter Soldier. And sure, he liked the cat in this film, but you wouldn't distrust people because a cat fucking scratched your eye. Like, oh, God.
But yeah, going back to Brie Larson.
Yeah. But like, what is there to say about her performance? It's like, it's just so bland. It's so just nothing. Makes me so annoyed.
Like at the start of the film, I was like, "Oh, this isn't great." But then when she's against Samuel Jackson, who's like, even though he doesn't get much to do, his charisma is always there. Compare him to her, and it's just like, whoa, she's completely out of his league.
Yeah, it's day and night. It's day and night is what it is.
Like there's that scene, like at the very end of the film. I just watched this. The scene where they're like doing the dishes or something, and like he's singing a song, he's being all like, you know, just getting into it, and then she just looks at him like,
Right. Yeah. One thing I'll say, there are times in this film that I did laugh. I remember when I watched it, I did laugh a couple times, but a lot of the jokes fall flat for me. One joke that I did really like, and probably is, apart from like the whole cat thing, because apart from the scratch, I enjoyed the jokes with the cat. But the one time that a joke involving Captain Marvel made me laugh is when she shoots her laser beam thing into the jukebox, and then Nick Fury reacts to it and saying, "How am I meant to know that's not to be like a scroll power or something like that?" But that's only because Nick Fury reacted to that, and that's the funny bit of the joke. But like,
yeah.
Captain Marvel as a character is just not funny, not charismatic, isn't enjoyable to watch at times anyway.
And this one thing that I'm very confused by is, what is the reason for her having her powers?
The reason she has her powers is because of I think they use the power of the Tesseract into the ships, and when the ship explodes, the NG goes into Captain Marvel. That's how she gets her powers. That's what the flashback scene is. When the plane explodes, that's her getting her powers. But the way they explain it in this film, that the Kree, which is part of Guardian. So going into this, if you know who the Kree are, you know that they're bad guys. So
I see when I first saw them, I was like, "Holy shit! Is that the guys from Thor: The Dark World?"
No, one of the guys is from the original Guardians film. You know the black guy who had the antenna things on his head from Guardians? He's in this film.
Really?
A part of the Kree, yeah. If you look on trailers and you look back on the film, if you look for him in Guardians, you'll recognize him. But yeah, like, but like, the thing that annoys me the most is that they set up at the very beginning of the film, in the very first scene between Brie Larson and Jude Law, and I do like Jude Law in this film, by the way. I think he's all right, but they had this setup for an arc for Captain Marvel about her emotions, that she's too emotional, but they don't pay off on any of that.
Well, that's because Brie Larson. That's because Brie Larson doesn't have any emotions.
Exactly, but like even the writing doesn't try and pay off that moment. It's like, and they have this whole moment at the end of the film where Captain Marvel's like, "I have nothing to prove to you" and stuff like that. But it's like, what is this film? What is this character's arc? It feels like there's a lot of stuff that was cut out of this film. Like a lot of the flashbacks to Captain Marvel's character when she's in the military, when she's a kid, and stuff like that. It feels like that is all whole scenes and stuff like that, but it feels like that's all stripped back for just little snippets. And then there's this moment at the end of the film where you get these little shots of Brie Larson, like Captain Marvel's character, from going from like young age to her now, where she's standing up and looking at the camera in this meant to be empowering moment, I'm assuming, for women all around the world, which is great for those kind of moments, but it comes off so fucking forced because of how bad the arc is. It just feels so tacked on. Oh, Jesus Christ. This film just isn't good, and Brie Larson is the worst part about it. And Captain Marvel's characteristics in this film is the worst part about it.
Yeah. She's just so not worthy of being the most powerful like Marvel superhero. It just it's they fucked it basically.
Yeah, like she's like, this is the MCU's first major setback since Thor: Dark World. It's level.
I would say this is their worst casting choice since Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Like, and in terms of the main cast?
Yeah, it's so weird because the woman who's been casting all these characters, except the one film she didn't cast for was Incredible Hulk. I just learned about this. I think it's Sarah Finn or something like that. She's casted everybody in the entire MCU apart from the Incredible Hulk in Incredible Hulk. And she's done a fantastic job. With this, I don't understand how Brie Larson got this role. I have no idea. Because she's just bad at this role. She legit is just bad at this role.
And she doesn't share the same sense of humor that all the other actors have.
Yeah. I'm not angry.
If she was
really annoyed.
You know how there was that bit of trivia from the first Avengers film, how like they all went out and like became friends after the film, like all the 6 Avengers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I just don't think like if she was in that film that she just would be such an outsider to that group, and it's even more
basically is,
and it's even more extreme now because with the latest Avengers films, you got an even bigger cast, like 10 times the size, and she still feels like an outsider. There's hardly anyone in the cast that feels like they are similar to her in any way. In terms of sense of humor, in terms of presence, in terms of charisma. She's so bland. She doesn't belong here.
Yeah, it's just... just like... I just don't like her in this film. I really don't. I keep saying it, but I'm not angry, right? I'm just extremely annoyed that going forward, it seems like this character is going to be basically in the same vein of like importance as Captain America. That's what it seems like they're going. But if it's going to go forward with Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, and they keep these characteristics, these terrible, terrible characteristics of Captain Marvel, I'm worried. I am quite worried for the future. I'm hoping that they either, this may seem extreme, that they recast her, or they don't do another Captain Marvel film. But they're going to anyway. I know that they will. But it's like, they've got to do something to at least fix it. They've got to make a better film first of all if they're going to make another one. But end of the day, this film is meant to have this character be the best thing about it, and she's the worst thing about it. Like,
Yep.
And that's all I can really say about it. Well, if I can keep going, but it will just be the same things in a more ranty fashion. Because
I hate that line. I hate that line she says to that kid where she's like, "Oh, you know, when they picked the kids out for the parents, your mum was lucky they picked the toughest one." just cringeworthy.
Just everything that comes out of her mouth, I'm into. Like, I don't care, and I don't want to listen to you talk because I don't care about this character. It's like she's like what Captain America is, but shit. She is just awful because she's meant to be. We know going forward that she's meant to be on the same par as Captain America, but the difference is, first of all, Chris Evans, great actor, and does the performance of Captain America extremely well. Second of all, Captain America as a character is great. Everything about him is great. The fact that he's flawless, but everything around him makes him affect the way he acts. And third of all, Captain Marvel as a character has nothing on Captain America, just nothing. And it annoys me that
even if you compare them side by side in terms of film structure, even if you compare her to Captain America from the first Avenger, like she still has nothing on him.
No, because one of the bright sparks about First Avenger, because it's not a fantastic film, I still think it's okay, but the bright spark about it is Steve Rogers. His character in that is as good, I would say, as Steve Rogers now, because it's the same sort of motivation he has since day one, and he still has that today.
What I would say is that it's the same man, but he gets more interesting because the story around him changes. I think Adam said that. I think you said that. I think Anthony said that as well.
Yeah.
And that's why it's great. That's why I fucking love him in Civil War, because he's going against Iron Man, and that dynamic is just perfect. Whereas I just can't imagine Captain Marvel and I don't know who would be the opposition. Maybe Falcon. I don't know, or whoever is a new one. I can't imagine a Civil War with Captain Marvel and one of the other heroes. Like, it just wouldn't work.
No, I don't. I just no.
Captain Marvel versus Hawkeye.
At least Hawkeye has a character.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be Hawkeye all the way on that one.
Even in Avengers, he sort of has a character because he has this motivation against Loki. You know,
and he's cool. He's
fun. Yeah, Jeremy Renner is great. Jeremy Renner is great. Brie Larson isn't, and she's horrible in this film. So yeah. Yeah, moral of the story is don't cast Brie Larson in your superhero films because she has no charisma to carry it.
Any point in the story that seemed interesting, like the flashbacks and stuff, because she's just such lacking in charisma, it just completely sucks the air out of it.
Yeah. I feel bad for anybody going forward because there is going to be another Captain Marvel film. Because of course there will be.
She feels like
I feel bad.
She feels like a child actor trying to be serious. I think
just feels like an act. Yeah, who's also trying to be funny as well.
Yeah,
like that's just what it comes across, and it's not good. I don't like it.
Like, she thinks she's being serious, but she's not.
Yeah. Yeah, just simply put, she's not good.
Yeah. And there's not much more to say than that.
No, it's just like we can't even get into detail of the depth of her character because there's no depth.
And it's really weirdly introduced as well. Like the start of the film is a mess. Like the first half hour is so weird.
And like this whole thing with I think it's called the Central Intelligence or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but I just don't understand. I don't understand most of the things in this film involving Captain Marvel. Because
I mean, like all the non-Earth stuff in this film was like as relevant to this story as Darkworld was to Darkworld.
God.
Yeah. At least
I talked to someone who, at the time when they saw it, they found this film extremely engaging, and I have no idea why.
I struggle.
I was talking to them like last night, and they would say that there's this film that Brie Larson is a part of, something unicorn, and how the trailers look absolute trash, and it's also got Samuel Jackson in it as well. And I'm just like, I do not want to watch another film with Brie Larson in it.
When I was watching this film, I was at the same time playing a game of chess. I was distracted by the chess. That's how boring this film was. A film with Samuel L. Jackson in it, might I add. It's boring.
Speaking of which, we should probably talk about him next.
Yeah, Nick Fury. So, as always, Samuel Jackson is always enjoyable, regardless of his character. Look at the Star Wars prequels. Mace Windu's character is interesting, but quite bland. Yet Samuel Jackson is charismatic. Same thing here.
Yeah. He's the one, for me, he's the one saving grace for this film. In terms of just enjoyment. Like, his character itself is...
It's
a young... Yeah, exactly. It's a young Nick Fury, so in a sense it is going to be slightly different from the Nick Fury we know from Avengers and then Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron and stuff like that. It's just the biggest thing is this sort of buddy cop thing with him and Captain Marvel. You can see what they're trying to do. It just doesn't really work.
It's trying to do a Ragnarok, but failing.
Yeah, and it fails miserably. And I feel bad for Samuel Jackson because we all know how good he can be, but in this film, he just it's just sad to see. It really is, because Nick Fury, like, for as little as he's been in the MCU in terms of screen time, he's still one of the biggest presence in the MCU. In this, he just feels so different.
Isn't this the film where he has the most screen time?
Yeah, because he's basically the co-star of it.
It's either this or it's Avengers. Or Winter Soldier.
Avengers, I think I think he has more screen time in this than Avengers.
What about Winter Soldier?
No, because he's dead for half of it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Whoops. But he has his most screen time in this film, but does a lot less.
Yeah, he's basically just
there's something missing from his character.
Yeah,
and I don't mean the eye patch. I mean there's something missing from his personality in this film.
Yeah,
he just feels like he doesn't feel like Nick Fury that much. He feels more just like stereotypical Samuel Jackson 1995 character.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Although they did a brilliant job of aging him down, I'll give them that.
Oh yeah, he looks great in terms of considering how old he is, and they try to make him extremely young in this film. They do a great job, but just in terms of the whole film and his relative importance to the plot, I mean, he is there, but he just, I just really don't like him, Nick Fury's and Captain Marvel's relationship at times. Sometimes there's a bit of funny quip in there and it's fun, but just overall, I just don't enjoy it. And that's mainly to do with Captain Marvel as a character. But I just feel bad for Samuel L. Jackson having to, basically feed on scraps in this film.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. But I'm sure, it seems like from, all the interviews when they did this film, they had a good time together and they like each other. And considering that they're starring in another film together, but it just feels like, again, like I said, feeding on scraps. And it's sad to see, really.
Yep. And, the cat scratch.
Yeah. Horrible. You've kept asking, especially recently. I think you said it 3 reviews ago, maybe in Homecoming or something. You're like, has the scratch happened yet? Is it soon or whatever? And I'm like, every time you said, I would just, in my head, I'm like, he's going to be so disappointed. He knows it's going to be shit. It's going to be so
Yeah.
shit.
Well, I thought I was when it happened in Winter Soldier. I was like, oh, am I getting it now? And I'm like,
Yep.
not really, not quite.
No. He gets scratched in the eye by an alien cat, and that's why he doesn't trust anybody. Like, fucking right. I don't know what the writers were thinking. I really don't. I don't understand what was going through their head.
Remember in The Witch is Familiar when Davros opens his eyes, even though he doesn't have eyes.
Is that actually like canon in the classic Who that he literally doesn't have eyes?
So it's okay. Technically, no, but in Big Finish, yes. So the story of Davros, and this is written like Terry Nation didn't say it in Genesis of the Daleks, but he did say it. Like he did say this specifically in terms of his backstory. Right. And it's represented all throughout the extended universe and Big Finish and all that. Davros's eyes were burnt out by an isotope during the war. That's why he's so disfigured. Because he used to look normal. Then they burnt his face.
Yeah. Right.
His eyes burnt out. They were gone. That's why he's got the eye on his head so he can see. And then Stephen Moffat's just like, oh no, he was keeping his eyes closed the whole time because he was scared. I was like, what the fuck?
Because he was scared. Is that legit what you said? Clearly, Stephen Moffat doesn't listen to Big Finish.
I can't remember maybe it's some more pretentious, bombastic word than scared, but I can't remember what. Yeah. I watched Witch is Familiar like 6 months ago, and I don't care. Like, just bollocks. And then the iconic line from my friend where I said he doesn't have eyes, and then my friend said, well, maybe his eyes grew back.
That's not how eyes work, but okay.
It's like what was the point of having that eye on his head if he already had eyes?
He just wanted to seem so menacing.
Oh. Fuck.
But yeah, it's just that's the same here. It's not in terms. The difference here is that it's saying this is the continuity. This is the actual law of why Nick Fury got his eyes scratched. But it's so shit, and it's just done for a joke. It annoys the living shit out of me. I don't see how anybody can defend that. Even if you find it funny, in terms of the law of the MCU, it fucking ruins Winter Soldier. Not completely, like it doesn't ruin the film itself.
That one moment,
but that one little moment. Yeah. There's two moments I would say where he says at first at the beginning of the film that last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye, and the person that he trusts was a fucking alien cat. Annoys the living hell out of me. I don't know what the writers were going through their heads when making this film, because that's such a avoidable moment. It's so avoidable. But they go head first into the pile of shit and do it anyway. Yeah,
and actually, and you could tell that they were like playing around with it as well, because early on in the movie they were teasing that it was going to happen, and he's like, "No, it's just a scratch." Like it was just a joke.
What a load of fucking bollocks.
Ugh. It's like anti-fan service.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's shit anti-fan service. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll find out how Nick Fury loses his eye. Oh, it's to an alien cat. Cool.
Yeah. I would say, like, my point of view, that is far worse than what happened with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
I think that's 1,000 times worse. Because at least with the Mandarin, when they play it off with this twist, it's funny, but it also is at least consistent with the story, if you get what I'm saying. But this is just literally done for a fucking joke, and that is it. It doesn't affect the plot in any way, like with Iron Man 3. Because at least with that, even if you think that the real Mandarin is a really shit villain, fine, but at least it's trying to affect the plot in some way. With this, it's done for a simple fucking joke. Which, okay, at the time it's funny, but if you really just think about it for a second, this joke might be my fucking hellbent along with Dark World because I'm so fucking annoyed by it. Like, fuck me. You can't defend that. If someone's going to defend that, I'm sorry, but fuck off. It's not defendable. It ruins what could have been a really interesting aspect to this film. And they do it for a joke with a cat.
And the cat ate the Tesseract.
Okay, yeah.
Somehow the cat didn't explode.
And well, to be fair, it was an alien cat, but yeah. Why does Red Skull get teleported away, but when a cat fucking eats it, it's fine? God, there's just so much things wrong with this film. And this is meant to be such an important film to the MCU because it's introducing someone which is hyped up to be the next Captain America. But this film fucks it up so hard. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's been a long time since I've had a proper rant about Marvel because it's been real solid since Dark World, even with its ups and downs. Like even Ant-Man and the Wasp is at least harmless.
Yeah, it's harmless and it's fun. With this film, it isn't fun and it's fucking shit and insulting.
Yep. So then we had Talos, aka Kala, who's the shape-shifting leader of the Skrull invasion of Earth. Was he the guy who found his family? Is that him or is it another?
Yes. Yeah. He's the guy who disguises as one of the Shield guys at the very beginning. He changes into him. I think he's played by Ben Mersling or something like that. Who's in Star Wars Rogue One? I know the actor. He's legitimately the one good thing I like about this film. I like
how that.
But that's
I like how it's kind of he's doing whatever it takes to see his family again. That's a nice sort of motivation, I guess.
It's the one good motivation in this film. That's it.
I mean, I did kind of get flashbacks to like Hyde and Time Heist though, and that was a bit like, it's one of those ones. But to be fair, it wasn't as bad as those two.
No. At least at times he's funny when he's like first introduced to be an actual good guy. His dialogue is quite funny.
Yeah, at least this one wasn't a gothic horror that got the ending and then they just randomly decided to have another ending.
Yeah, like with this film, it has no style. It's just shit. But the one thing that annoys me between the dialogue between him and Captain Marvel, when Captain Marvel learns that the Kree, the people that for the last 6 years she's been helping, in one fucking conversation, she just accepts that they're bad now. In one conversation, the last 6 years of her life mean fuck all. They don't mean fuck all in terms of her motivation to now stop them, but what they should have done is have her not believe him at first and just have a scene at least where she's like so confused, but they don't do that.
Well, I mean, the gap between Winter Soldier and this film is almost 6 years, and that's worth nothing now. The wait for Nick Fury's eye.
Oh, you mean that in terms of release and now?
Yeah, in terms of release, okay. Yeah. Sorry, no, fucking in the story, it's like 19 years.
Yeah, it's around that time, yeah. 19 years, 20 years, something like that. But yeah. Yeah. The character itself is fine. Funny when he's first introduced as a good guy. And the actor is great, as he normally is in every film he's in. But again, you can't. The thing with these characters, every single character in this film, where's the depth to them? Where's the real depth that every single Marvel film has? Because what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so great is its characters and how engaging they all are. like I saw a quote, like someone quote about this recently, where like with action films, everyone used to go for the action set pieces and that's it. But with Marvel films, everyone goes for the characters now. But with this film, the characters mean jack shit. They just don't matter.
And the
None
action's
of them
bland as
matter.
well. The
And
action's just
yeah,
bland.
at the end is a fucking CGI fest. But you can have a CGI fest, but it be actually good and effective. But in this, it's just bright colors.
It almost feels like this was a film made in 1995.
Yeah. Remember when I think Adam said this. Yeah, Adam said this. Like these films, some of them, but not all of them, feel like products first and films second.
This is the
takes
biggest
the
one.
cake.
Yeah.
This takes the cake massively. This, I wouldn't even class this as a film. This is a product. This is a product.
Mm.
It's just not good. I'm sorry if people like this film and you thought it was engaging, and for example, you thought it was great for women actors and women in general. That is great. Absolutely fine. But you've got Wonder Woman for that, and that was at least halfway decent film. With this, it's just awfully written, awfully directed. Effects are not great. Brie Larson is fucking terrible.
Of all the women you could have chosen, you chose the one that you shouldn't have.
Yeah. Just, I'm sorry, but this film is garbage. When I first watched this, right, I said to my brother, you know what, I thought that was like a 6 out of 10 film. Not great. Brie Larson wasn't as charismatic as the writing is making it seem like, but it was fine. Now, the more and more I think about it, God, I fucking don't like this film. I just don't like it. And there's nothing anybody can say to change my mind.
Imagine if instead of this we got like a Black Widow film. That would have been so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because Scarlett Johansson is actually good and can carry a film.
Yeah.
Like even though she hasn't had her own film, I would believe that she could because she's a great actress.
Well, she's basically one of the mains of Winter Soldier, and that's one of the best.
And is part of the main 6 Avengers. She's part of the main 6 Avengers.
Winter Soldier is one of the best MCU films, and she's one of the like 2 mains in that one.
Mm-hmm. Hell, even in the cinematic universe, there are so many better female characters. You've got Peggy Carter, for example, who is a great female character. You've got Black Widow. You've got even Maria Hill, I prefer over Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Pepper Potts.
She's interesting.
Fuck it. Even Jane Foster, I prefer. I prefer Jane Foster because at the very fucking least, the banter and the funny things between her and Thor are at least fun.
At least Natalie Portman's a good actress. Sometimes.
Exactly. Even though she's not great in the 4 films, at the very fucking least, the funny parts between the romance between Thor and Jane Foster are at least funny. There is nothing to Captain Marvel's character. Nothing. God. I can't fucking believe I'm defending, in a sense, Dark World for this film. Like, I would have given that a 3. Like, and I don't know what I'm going to rate this film. I really don't know how I'm going to rate it because I'm still thinking in my head, but it's going to be pretty fucking close.
Yeah, it's a bad film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, I was gonna like be like, oh, Scarlet Witch, you know, okay, you're like all of those ones, but then you're like Jane Foster. I'm like, yeah, well, can't get lower than that. Like, I mean, unless...
Hell, even Sharon Carter is better, and she has a horrible romance with Captain America, but it's so little.
You know, the first time I saw her, I thought she was Captain Marvel because I recognized like she looks similar to Brie Larson, except she has charisma. She has fucking charisma.
You know what? She probably would have done at least a halfway decent job compared to Brie Larson.
And it would have made like a sort of like mini civil war, I guess, between her and Cap, because now she's trying to be his... I don't know, you could have done something with that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But yeah, had to get Brie Larson. Just, yeah.
God, I don't even like Valkyrie, and even she's better than Captain Marvel.
I love Valkyrie. I think she's great. She's like...
At least she has a character.
Yeah,
Like
whether or
she
not you like the
breaks.
character or not, like she's 1,000 times better than Captain Marvel in terms
Yeah,
of
she's like
character and performance.
she's kind of like she's got like the drinking thing. She's got a massive spear. She's kind of funny, quirky, aggressive. Doesn't take shit, and she like will easily walk away from like there's that scene where she walks away from Thor and Hulk. Like she's got a character. I wasn't a
Yep.
big fan of it, the comedy, but she has a character.
Mm.
Captain Marvel is fucking nothing.
You know what? Another female character I prefer to Captain Marvel. You know that woman that Cap makes out with in First Avenger. I prefer her because at least in that moment it was funny and affects the
Fucking
plot.
Natalie Dormer's character,
Yeah, I preferred her because it affected the plot and it was quite funny at the time.
and because
Like,
Natalie Dormer is a great actress.
yeah, like there are literally characters with one scene that are better than her.
Fucking E-Tree is a better character than Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, and also like people like Gamora are 1,000 times better. Nebula is better at this point, even though the only sort of character work she has is in Guardians 2, which I think is done really, really well anyway. But like even in the first Guardians, when she doesn't have anything to do, Mantis, she's had 2 films, a film and a half basically. She died at the end of Infinity War.
She's like a tertiary character, not even secondary, and she's better than.
Yeah. Just end of the story is Captain Marvel is the worst female character in the MCU.
Except for maybe Darcy and Betty Ross. I'd say that those are the only
I would
two.
say they're on level. They're on level. I would not put them above her, but they're on level.
I would say Betty Ross is maybe level. I would say Darcy is worse. Darcy is terrible. Like
at least with Darcy, she's not a main fucking character.
That's true.
That doesn't take up the whole film.
That's
true. Parts of the film.
That's like comparing Adam Mitchell to Clara. Like Captain Marvel would be Clara and Darcy would be Adam Mitchell. That's like the comparison. I'd say different kinds of bad. How about that?
Oh yeah, different kinds of bad, but yeah, all bad. But yeah,
yeah. And at least Darcy wasn't too present in the first Thor. It's only Darkworld, but she's really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, we've ranted about that for too long. Barely through the characters. Already 42 minutes in. We already got a preview of this in the Ant-Man and the Wasp review, already ranting about Brie Larson.
She's just not. End of.
So, Karath. So yeah, you're right. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, played by Digimon Hunso.
Yep. You wouldn't realize I recognized him when I first watched it, and I was like, "Is that the same person?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I mean, he doesn't get anything to do in the film, so.
I'm not
all
sure.
of the Kree warriors don't get anything to do really, apart from the final scene, the final battle. Anyway,
hang on. I'm just gonna look up Korath Guardians because I don't even remember who that is.
he's the guy with the antenna things on his head. Drax rips out, and he's at the very start where he says when Star-Lord asks, like, "There's another name you might know me by," and he says Star-Lord, and he says, "Who?" That's the same person.
Yeah, a very minor character in both films.
In both films. I think he's better in Guardians 1 because he's funny in some parts, especially that first bit. Because it affects the comedy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he was just kind of fan wank in this. Oh, fucking Ronan the Accuser was in this film as well.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't do anything. He's in it. It's basically a glorified cameo, is what it is.
It's just a whole lot of pointless fan wank that wasn't done very well.
Yeah. Of all the villains to bring back for a cameo, they bring back Ronan. I mean, I hear that Lee Pace is a great actor. I haven't seen him in anything else that I recognise, but
he's the worst part of Guardians.
Yeah, but to bring back all these characters, I heard that he was going to be in this film, but why? If you're not going to make him a main kind of villain, then why put him in the film?
Then we had Maria Rambeau,
Mm-hmm.
who was one of Danvers' oldest friends and fellow Air Force pilot. She's the old woman, right?
No, she's the woman with the child.
Oh, right.
Old woman is the professor, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Maria Rambo, yeah. So there's a scene in this film like near the middle where they're sitting down at a table talking and it's just so melodramatic.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's just the acting. I think it's the dialogue as well. It just feels
Yeah, the
so
writing doesn't
forced.
help at all. The
It's
dialogue's
just like
pretty bad.
she's just the whole thing of like, you want to know hard? You don't know hard. You don't know. Yeah, you know what it's like that kind of shit. I just don't like that. It's so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
It's
the
not believable.
writing is just the writing is bad in this film.
It's not believable.
No.
And then like she's trying to invoke some emotion out of the scene, being all like, you don't know what it's like to have it hard, and then fucking Brie Larson's just sitting there with a blank face.
Yeah.
Fucking there's that, you know when she has that phone call and then like someone tells her like, I don't know what they say, but they say something like real threatening and she's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's sad because she probably thinks she's trying hard, but it feels like she's phoning it in.
Yeah.
Then we had Minerva, a Kree sniper and member of Star Force.
Oh, yeah, it's the woman sniper from the Kree like group. I mean, you wouldn't remember her because she doesn't get anything to do.
Oh, right. Well, there you go. Move on. Marvel / Dr. Wendy Lawson. So is she the old woman?
Yes. She's
Right.
the part of the intelligence thing that Captain Marvel sees at the beginning of the film because
This
it's in the back of her memory.
This reminded me of like Ant-Man, how like the original version of the superhero was like in the past and now there's a new one.
Yeah.
Except this one is nowhere near as interesting.
No.
Because like Hank Pym and Scott Lang is pretty like cool, like that passing of the torch. Whereas this is just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you don't know where you got your powers from, and she's like, I'll tell you what, I'll shoot you with my lightning rays, and then she's like stops, and then she's like, oh, you stopped my lightning rays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also just like, I don't like Captain Marvel's superpowers. Like she's so generic. It's just like she just shoots fire from her fists and does stuff.
Yeah. And what annoys me the most is apparently she's like the strongest superhero we've seen.
Yeah, but there's nothing interesting about her powers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what annoys me the most.
Like I don't understand like what like this to me personally. I mean, it may be different in the comics, but she seems like something that Stan Lee would not do. She feels more like a DC superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Like a really old school, overpowered DC superhero with no flaws.
Like Superman.
Basically, but like worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're basically the same sort of power, except she shoots lasers from from her arms instead of her eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of Superman, but I can tolerate I can tolerate Superman, but this is just weird.
Yeah, if they put a good story around it, then it's good. Like, for example, like Superman in the Injustice comics, he turns into a bad guy in a sense, and that's good. I haven't actually read them, but I know what it is, and I've seen both the Injustice games.
Yeah.
Like, that's done really well because he's a menacing villain in that.
Yeah.
It's not to do with his powers, it's to do with him as a character.
Yeah.
With this, both her powers are very average, and she's a shit character. Like, it doesn't help. It doesn't make you feel engaged at all. Like, why should I care about this character when all they do is just kick ass? But don't have an engaging, in-depth character to them to really give me an emotional connection to her.
Yeah.
Because she's a woman and she has hard times? No, that's not enough. That's not how the story should work.
Everything about this film, like, and this character screams DC to me, like bad DC. It doesn't feel like a tried and true Marvel story.
But this is like trying to be as good as Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman, even though I haven't seen it in full, I would already assume like Wonder Woman is better than this because Wonder Woman would probably have a character at least. With this, there's nothing, just absolutely nothing.
Wait, sorry. Did you say you haven't seen Wonder Woman's movie?
No, I know what the
I have.
details are,
I've
and I
seen
know
it.
what happens.
I've seen it. It's much better.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, exactly.
fucking
Yeah.
far better than this film. It's
Yeah.
actually really entertaining until sort of the last
Third
act.
Yeah.
Third act,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a bit player, but yeah, it's actually Wonder Woman is actually a really like naive character, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know what's going on around her.
Yeah.
And it's when she realizes the horrors of the world that her eyes get opened to these things.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of interesting. Whereas with Captain Marvel, it's just
Yeah.
ugh.
The best characters in any sort of entertainment are the characters with flaws. Like Tony Stark, for
Spider-Man.
example.
Spider-Man is the
Spider-Man.
perfect example.
Yeah. What are Captain Marvel's flaws?
That she doesn't have any.
She's too emotional, but that doesn't affect the story in any way. So,
No.
yeah, what are her flaws? Why should I be invested in this
She
character
doesn't.
that can just do everything?
She doesn't turn up when there's danger. She's just not there. She's bad attendance.
Yeah, she has to be cool to be like get into action. Like,
Brie Larson is the biggest flaw with Captain Marvel.
yeah,
The fact that that she's not interesting. The fact that she's the most powerful superhero yet the least interesting one.
that's the worst part about it for me. Like that's absolutely the worst part about it for me. And again, I go back to me being worried about Captain Marvel as a character going forward.
Fucking Wasp has more of a character than her.
Yeah. Like every character in the MCU has a character, whether if it's bad or good, there is a character there with a personality. The only exception you could say is Malik as a villain, but that's a villain. Everybody else has a character at least. Like even Ronan, his motivation is that he doesn't like the whole peace tree between Xandar and the Kree. It's a shit motivation, but it's a motivation of some resemblance of a character. With Captain Marvel, I could not tell you what her personality is, apart from shit.
At least Abomination is hilariously stupid.
Yeah. Abomination, his whole thing, at least the motivation there, is that he's crazed with like fighting and like that kind of stuff and wanted to become like the Hulk. That's his motivations. It's not good, don't get me wrong, but it's something. It's something there. Captain Marvel has none of that, and it pisses me off to the max. Anybody enjoys this film, fine, like I keep saying, but why do you like this film? Why? What, in terms of its story and its characters, do you like about it that makes you really like this film? Because I can't see it. I legitimately can't see how anyone could say that this is at least a good film, because it's not a good film. If you like it just because it either looks good or you like Samuel Jackson in it, fine. But don't tell me that you think this is a really good film, because I can't see it. I can't see it.
Then we got Phil Coulson.
Yeah, he's back for 2 scenes.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
cool.
and
His
Samuel-
de-aging looks good, but yeah.
Samuel. That's my biggest compliment for this film. The de-aging looks fucking great.
Yeah.
And that's the best part. It's so good.
Yeah. And it's impressive. It's impressive that they had Samuel Jackson be the second main character of this film, so he gets a lot of screen time. At no point does it feel really odd. So that's the one big compliment I can give this film, and that's it.
It looks way better than the like little Steve Rogers CGI, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Nick Fury lies to Phil Coulson about what happened to his eye because this film sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jon Rog, the commander. Oh, it's Jude Law's character.
Yeah.
So he's in the start, and he's sort of in the middle, and he's at the end, and that's it.
Yeah.
Jude Law's a good actor. I don't know why they decided to waste him on this role. Like this reminded me of like maybe not quite as bad, but it's like why would you cast Christopher Eccleston as like a nothing character like
Yeah.
Malekith, the fucking foreign language
Yeah.
bloody paint up silent assassin? Like that's not who Christopher Eccleston is.
Yeah. It's just so. It's just baffling. A lot of this film is baffling, but that seems like such a misguided decision to have Jude Law be such a nothing villain.
Yeah, remember he's like, "Oh, we got to square up. You know, you got to face me with fists," and then she just blasts him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I laughed when that happened because I thought it was quite funny, but going back on it, just why waste an actor like that on this role, which means nothing.
Mm-hmm. Any other side characters we want to discuss?
Not really. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't give less of a damn about any other characters in this film. I guess the child in this film is shit and uninteresting and not a good child actor. Obviously, there's not a lot of good child actors anyway. There's a few, but
I mean,
rare.
I thought Cassie and Ant-Man and the Wasp
Oh
was
yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that's one of the few exceptions where it's actually really, really good. And there are good child actors, but it's like because they're children, it's rare to find them. And this was a poor one. The child actress in this film is just not good. She comes off more irritating to me. If anything, I just found her really annoying when I watched it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but all the other side characters I couldn't care less about.
So Stanley's cameo on the bus.
I like that a lot. You know what? That is actually the one part of the film I love. That's the one thing I love about this film is Stanley's cameo because at the time of this film release and just before that, Stanley had passed away, and I think I heard that they changed his cameo to that after his passing. So that was a really, really nice moment, and I'm glad they did do that. So thank you to the people making this film for doing that. I just wish he made a better film. But yeah, great cameo. Great cameo. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It's a nice homage to everything that Stanley's done for this for the Marvel, just in general. So yeah, it was nice that they did that sort of moment after his recent passing at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's probably more to do with like a Kevin Feige move as opposed to the film.
Yeah, probably. But I still really liked it and I loved it. So.
Yeah, it was nice. But yeah, the plot of this film was
garbage.
It was a mess. It was boring. It was so all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking about like Ant-Man and the Wasp having 4 plots. This had like half a plot.
Yeah. It had half plot, and then that the half of that was just covered in garbage, and the other half is missing.
Yeah, I don't think there's like I think it may come as a result of the fact that the Avengers films suck all the air out of the building, and to put in quotation marks. But I don't think I don't think I would say there's 2 films in the MCU back to back that are weaker than Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel in terms of in a row. Like I would say the closest is maybe Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2, but even Iron Man 2 is fun. Like Iron Man 2 is really fun.
Whether or not you like the way the structure is and the actual story itself, at least Downey Jr. is fun to watch at times. Right.
Yeah. These 2 films, Ant-Man and the Wasp it was alright, but this one wasn't good. It just in a row they just didn't really add that much.
Yeah. Yeah. this is like probably like one of the. I think this is probably the worst run of the MCU since like Dark World, maybe. Since like Iron Man 3 and Dark World. Well, Iron Man 3 is not a bad film. I do like Iron Man 3, but it's not as good as like Avengers or the first Iron Man and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
but
probably
then
the worst run since then.
I guess so. Yeah.
These last two films.
Yeah, I'd maybe even say the worst one since, like I said, Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe
Probably,
even that long.
Yeah. But I don't find Incredible Hulk like incredibly insulting. I find this film insulting. I just find Incredible Hulk just to be a bad film. But
That's true.
Going forward, this is meant to be an extremely important film. Incredible Hulk was still a point in time where the MCU was building. Like, it was only the second film in the MCU. So it couldn't insult the franchise as a whole in terms of the MCU itself. It just was a really misguided film and done really, really poorly. Casting was all over the place as well. With this film is meant to be the jumping on point for Captain Marvel going forward, because the way they are sort of talking about Captain Marvel, like I keep saying, she's meant to be the next big character in the MCU. And this film already ruins her for me going forward. And it's going to take a long time and a really, really, really world-class film to make me forget about how bad this film was and get engaged in Captain Marvel as a character.
Yeah, it'll take like a Winter Soldier or a Ragnarok, like, you know, that completely changes her character. You know what I mean?
It might, for me personally, it might have to take like a 9 out of 10 film for me to get engaged in a character properly.
Yeah.
Like, I find this film that bad.
Get the Russos to do something, maybe. If there's anyone that can save her, it's them. You'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I don't know. I can't think of any alternatives. Because, like, she wouldn't fit in with the Guardians or Thor. She wouldn't fit in with, like, Ant-Man. She wouldn't fit in with Spider-Man. She wouldn't fit in with any of them, really.
No. Both Brie Larson and Captain Marvel just don't fit into this Avengers group.
Yeah. That's what I think. So the screenplay is by Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck, and Geneva Robertson Dwaret, and it's directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck.
They just dropped the ball on this massively. I don't know what other work they've done. I don't know what the kind of qualities they are used to. But in terms of my first impressions, man, oh man, I'm not going to want to watch any of their films going forward.
Those two have worked together on films. They're like a duo.
Yeah, like the Russos, yeah.
Yeah, so they've done films that I'd never heard of.
I'm not surprised.
I haven't even heard of their TV shows either. I'll just read them out to see if you recognize any of them.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I recognize them.
Okay, so in terms of films, we've got Half Nelson from 2006. That was their first. Then you got Sugar.
No.
Then you got Children of Invention.
No.
And then you got It's kind of a Funny Story.
No.
I think I read somewhere, like, someone said it's like one of the worst films of all time. I can't remember. Maybe I'm mistaking for another one, but I swear I saw that name listed in like one of those lists. Then you had Mississippi Grind.
No.
And then Captain Marvel. So that's all their films. And then in TV you had In Treatment.
No.
Then you had The Big C.
No.
Then you had 30 for 30.
No.
Then you had Looking.
No.
Then The Affair.
I think I've heard about Affair. I think, but I don't watch it, so I wouldn't
It's
know
o-
the quality of it.
it's only got 4 episodes, and it so like
Oh, then I might be thinking of something else then.
there a lot of their shows only have like 2 episodes, 3 episodes, 7 episodes, like
So
very short.
their mini series is basically their
Yeah,
drama mini series.
yeah. Then you got Billions.
Isn't that Isn't that got Dwayne the Rock Johnson in it? Isn't that show?
No, it's got
Is it?
Paul Giamatti, Damian Lewis.
Let me Google it because I've heard of Billions. I think. I think I might actually now know who I'm thinking of. Even if that might be the only name I recognize in terms of
It's
shows.
it's the series is loosely based on the activities of Preet Bharara, the former U.S. attorney of Southern District of New York, his legal battles with hedge fund manager Steve Cohen.
Oh no, yeah, I know the show. I recognize it.
Right, so they've done that one.
I hear it is actually a decent show. At least.
It's only got 3 episodes apparently.
Billions.
I mean, oh no, sorry, shit, no, there's like 42 episodes. What am I talking about?
Yeah, it says there's 4 seasons.
I don't know why it's. Oh, they only worked on 3 of the episodes. That's why.
How much do you want to bet that those are the lowest ranked episodes?
I was like such an idiot. I'm like, what the fuck? Why do these shows only have 3 episodes?
What
Sorry,
episodes have they done? Does it say what episodes they've done? Because I want to see and see what kind of quality they are in terms of ratings. I'm going to go on IMDb and see.
I'll also say that the other TV show they've done is Room 104. The episode Red Tent.
No, don't recognize the name.
Okay. So Billions episodes. Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck.
Does it say what seasons they've done as well?
Hang on. I'm just going to go to a list of Billions episodes on Wikipedia, it should say. Right. So let's find out. Okay, so the first one they did was Magical Thinking, which I think is season 1, episode 11.
Okay, let me go see that. Episode 11. It's in terms of the rest of the show of that season, it's the like 4th lowest. There's like one with an 7.9, 8.1, 8.2, which is that what episode got, and then there's like 8.4, and then 8.8.
They did Dead Cat Bounce from season 2, which is the 2nd episode.
Okay, I'm gonna go on season 2. What's the episode called again?
Dead Cat Bounce. Ironically,
8.2. 8.2 rating.
Right, and then they also did in that season they did Ball in Hand, which I think was the finale.
9.2. So
there you go. There you go. And then they did season. I think that's it. Can't find them.
Oh yeah, you said they did 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but
that's it.
So that's all we know about them.
They made 3 good Billions episodes, and that's it.
Well, we don't know about the rest of their TV shows.
Yeah, exactly. They could be shit as well. So
who knows?
We know that they can make something good, but then there's this, which could be the worst work, but we don't know. But bloody feels like it. It feels.
They seem like a very strange choice to have it as a director of a Marvel film, like just
an important Marvel film at that.
Like some random filler writers for like a bunch of shows and movies. Like it doesn't seem very. Although to be fair, the Russos weren't very known before. Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but then we saw Winter Soldier.
The Russos, these guys are not.
Yeah, they're not.
Would you say the film looks good in any way?
I mean,
I think
lighting is okay.
they got the time period right, than
Yeah.
1995.
I mean, yeah, they had Blockbusters and Radio Shack. So, I mean, it's not like trying to drug my eyes out in terms of how it looks, but I wouldn't say it's memorable. Apart from like the references to the time.
I'd say like the color filters on the film do make it look like it's like the very sunny 90s film look was all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it really.
Yeah.
The music was by Pinar Toprak.
I can't remember a single part of the score.
She's a Turkish-American composer for television, film, and video games. She won 2 International Film Music Awards for The Lightkeepers and The Wind Gods. She did Behind Enemy Lines 2. And she did a bunch of ones that I don't know. Breaking Point, Last Will, In Utero, Justice League. She scored Justice League.
I thought Danny Elfman did as well.
It was her, and additional music score, main score by Danny Elfman.
Right. Okay.
I didn't read the notes, but she was part.
Yeah. All
right. Barely anything that I recognize, but maybe. Oh shit! She did some music for Fortnite, so there you go.
Okay.
Who cares? Yeah. I mean, I didn't really. I'm just searching up Captain Marvel like IMDb right now, and I've just saw an article that says Brie Larson didn't know the Avengers were in the post-credit scene of her own film.
I mean, I guess in terms of thinking about the context of that, she must have thought the film she's seen was going to be part of Endgame. Like that's when she's first introduced, I guess. But I mean, yeah.
Like that scene that she's in at the very end. Does she not know that that was the post-credit scene of her own damn film?
No, she must have just thought that was part of. Well, they probably did. They probably filmed that during Endgame, probably, because everybody would have been in the same place anyway. So. And they were just like, okay.
Actually, I've got a theory about what may have happened, like a very, very, very far-fetched theory, but I won't say it until the Endgame review because it'll spoil a certain physical element. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about that. So on to the trivia, I guess. The cardboard cutout Carol shoots in the Blockbuster store were originally supposed to be Jim Carrey in The Mask, with Carol mistaking the green face for a Skrull, but the filmmakers couldn't secure the rights. Brie Larson is allergic to cats, so her scenes involving Goose were filmed with a puppet or a CGI cat.
Ha 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 ha
ha. Apparently, Goose is played by 4 different cat actors.
They would have been the same, like, breed of cat. So. The security guard Captain Marvel speaks to at the beginning of the film as Marvel security director Barry Curtis. Cool.
I will say one thing that I did really like from this film was the when they go on like the computer and it's like the old internet. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was a good reference. Like all the like 90s references were pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there was concerns that Brie Larson was too young to portray a pilot. Screenwriter Noel Perlman consulted with the U.S. Air Force, who said it was possible for someone to be between 28 and 34 to become an accomplished pilot like Danvers. I don't think that's what they should have worried about.
Yeah, should have worried about getting a good actress.
Yeah. Fury's ID showed him having only level 3 clearance at the time. Pinar Choprak was the first woman to score an MCU film.
I mean, cool, that's great, but the score just itself wasn't that memorable.
Yeah, it's just like with the whole you know, I get the whole like wanting to do the woman thing, but it would be so much more effective if it was actually good.
Yeah. Like I could give a damn whether it's a female or male doing the score, as long as it's good. Like,
yeah, same as like I don't give a damn if it's a female male lead of the film. Like it has to be good.
Yeah,
like
that's all that matters. If it's not good, then I'm not gonna give a damn about it.
Yeah. Like I'd love to see. I would love to see like a Black Widow film.
Mm.
I'd take her over bloody Edward Norton any day. I think most people would.
Yeah.
Gender doesn't matter. It's whether it's good or bad. But I don't know. I guess some people think it's. I don't know. I don't want to get into that anyway. It's always a losing argument, regardless of which side you're on as well. It's like.
Yeah.
It's like everyone will just think of it something cheap to take you down for saying something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Brie Larson was in this conversation we're having right now, she would find something to say about what we're saying that that makes us look horrible. Like even though we literally are just criticizing the film. Yeah. And it's just like it's the same thing with like Chris Chibnall and Jodie. Like I don't like that. I don't care that the Doctor was male or female. I just don't like that Chris Chibnall fucked it up and made it boring. I wish the first female Doctor got a great series and a great character. You know? And like some people will be like, "Oh, well, you just don't want a female Doctor." No, that's not what I said at all. I'm just disappointed that what we got wasn't good, or at least wasn't interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a waste. It's like now you know, now people who are anti-female Doctor are going to have a reason to not have it again because when the first time they got it, it wasn't good. Do you know what I mean? It's like what a waste. What a waste of an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with Captain Marvel. It's like, God. Anyway. Why is it always like the worst Samuel Jackson films are the ones that where he appears and are like prequels? What do you think about it? Because technically this is a prequel.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty cool film.
When Brie Larson's casting was announced at Comic-Con, CNN read the headline, Shazam, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, apparently not realizing that they were thinking of the wrong Captain Marvel. Because obviously Shazam used to be called Captain Marvel, right?
Yeah.
I remember Josh told me about that when because obviously I, like, ages ago, like, years ago, like, I knew fuck all about superheroes, apart from the movies I'd seen, like Spider-Man and Dark Knight and all that. Um, but when he got me into playing Injustice because he had the game, he had to explain to me the thing with Shazam and how he was like Shazam was Captain Marvel, and then there's another Captain Marvel, and now Shazam is Shazam. Like I got so confused. I'm like, why?
Mm,
Why did that happen? It sounds so confusing.
yeah.
It's just like how there's two Avatar movies. There's Avatar, and then there's The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, here we go. Your mic's off, by the way. Or did you
Oh no,
whisper?
no, I was just miming that this film is shit.
All right. Well, we got some trivia straight from, Brie Larson herself. Um, Before the film's release, Brie Larson spoke out against underrepresentation of women, people of color, and people with disabilities among journalists and film critics. Apparently, this didn't sit well with many internet users who were already belligerent towards the film's perceived feminist agenda and political correctness. This caused a flood of negative ratings on several review sites ahead of the film's release. As a result, Rotten Tomatoes changed their policy to no longer accept reviews and ratings for a film that hasn't yet been released.
Well, the thing I say to that is, if anybody has seen the build up to Endgame and any interview with Brie Larson, you can tell that no one is comfortable being around her. Like if you've seen an interview with her, John Cheadle, and Chris Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth and John Cheadle's body language is so awkward. They just feel so uncomfortable being around her.
Don Cheadle looked like he aged about 10 years in that
Yeah,
interview.
yeah. Like, just I don't understand why Brie Larson is the way she is. Clearly, she's not a great person to be around. Like, I don't know her personally, but I'm just basing off the fact that people like Chris Hemsworth and Don Cheadle, who love doing build-ups and interviews to these films. Like, if you've seen, for example, the films like for Ragnarok, Chris Hemsworth had a great time making that film and loved talking about it in the build-up.
Hell, if you look at the interview that, like any other interview, like the ones with Jeremy Renner and Paul Rudd, like, and the ones with like Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and all that, they're all fun. Like
Yeah,
Karen Gillan,
because they
everyone.
love, yeah, they love being with each other in the build-ups to these films, and because they have built up such a great bond between each other. Any interview with Brie Larson is instantly just uncomfortable to watch, and probably to even sit through next to her. So I just hope that Brie Larson gets her act together, like generally, because no one is gonna want to watch any film she's in if she doesn't, in a sec, respect people around her and
Yeah,
doesn't make it about herself in some
and I
ways or
feel
something
like,
like that.
and I feel like even though the MCU is this big thing, the problem is like if you drop like one drop of blood into a glass of water, the entire thing is contaminated. I feel
Yeah,
like she's like at the moment she's the drop of blood in the glass of water.
yeah, and it's spreading at the moment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, a nod to the original character is Captain Marvel's combat helmet she wears during her missions in outer space. The helmet features the iconic tomahawk haircut. Um, there was in fact some debate regarding the haircut of Brie Larson, with many fans claiming it is too long and not similar enough to the usual short hair cut Captain Marvel has in the comics. Huh. I didn't know that.
mm.
That's interesting trivia. Um, Here we go. The filmmakers cited 1990s action movies as the influence on the film's action, in keeping with the era in which the film is set.
It doesn't come across. I don't see that style in terms of quality or anything like that. I just it's just a sheet, like a sheet of like awfulness. It's like I can't see the style.
Well, I don't know what action movies they were watching.
Probably the bad ones. Probably the one that are really really cheesy ones that are proper AEs. And they said, "Oh, we need to make them like these," but it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Um, Apparently, the Skrulls are part of the Fantastic Four series.
I don't think I would know that because I haven't read the comics for Fantastic Four.
Hmm. Man, I'm so glad that I watched these in release order. Because if I watched this in chronological, I would have had to watch this film second.
What were we in the first one?
First
First
Avenger.
Avenger.
First Avenger, Captain Marvel, Iron Man.
Mm.
So glad I watched Iron Man first. Because at least that film is like actually really engaging, especially the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Stark is dripping with charisma, as opposed to Brie Larson, who's basically
Dripping with bladness.
she's the polar opposite of Robert Downey Jr. in almost every way.
Yeah.
The Skrull makeup took 2 hours to apply. No response.
No.
Oh, we got some. Oh my god. Oh, this breaks my heart. I just saw the list of people that were rumored to be that were rumored for the role of Captain Marvel.
Is it people that are probably 1,000 times
Literally,
better?
like this ties back to something you said in this review. Natalie Dormer was one of them. The one that he patched in First Avenger.
Oh, really?
She was rumored to be Captain Marvel. She would have been brilliant. She's such a good
Oh,
actress. And she's the right age. She's like 37 or something, but she looks younger.
yeah.
Fuck, that's disappointing.
Who else was up for it?
Um, Catherine Winnick, Emily Blunt, Katie Sackhoff, Yvonne Strahovski, and Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay. I'm sure all of them would have done at least a halfway decent job compared to Brie Larson.
Natalie Dormer would have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, she'd probably been really good.
I mean, she is kind of a more of a villain actress than others. Like she's got quite a sort of like her facial expressions tend to be more sort of smug, but at the same time, so is Brie Larson.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like she could have pulled off that sort of cockiness to Captain
Yeah,
Marvel, which they
but she has
tried to
so
do in
much.
this film.
She has so much charisma. She's so
Yeah,
much charisma, as opposed to Brie Larson, who has none.
yeah.
Oh man, like her character in Game of Thrones is like one of my favorite characters. She's so good. Like fuck, what a missed opportunity.
Mm.
Um, I'm just angry now.
Even more so than before.
They need to pull. They need to pull a Mark Ruffalo and recast Captain Marvel as Natalie Dormer.
They, I generally do think they need to recast her.
Keanu Reeves was almost cast as Yon Rock. The trailer received about 109 million views worldwide in the first 24 hours of its release.
Cool.
Oh dear. Mm, 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 Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson both previously appeared in the films Faster the Penguins, Unicorn Store, and Kong Skull Island. Nick Fury refers to Hannibal Lecter, a character made famous by Anthony Hopkins, who has appeared in the MCU multiple times as Odin.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that Odin is Hannibal Lecter?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Hannibal Lecter is part of the MCU?
Maybe.
Um, you know, it was really disappointing. Wait, hang on a second. Hang on. Okay. You know what was really disappointing about this film? There was no appearance from any of the bloody Stark family.
Yeah.
There was no. I mean, when did Howard die? Which year? Was it before or after this?
It would have probably been in the 90s.
Yeah, but was it early or late?
It might have been. It
Early.
depends how early, because think Tony was like 18 when they died, around
And
that
then
age.
like
How
we
old is
see
he in Iron Man?
we see a flashback to him in Iron Man 3 from 1999, and he's a playboy. Like he's in his adult, like probably late 20s.
It must have been like 91, 92, around then.
Yeah, so Howard Stark's probably dead in this film, but Tony Stark would have been like in his early 20s.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember. What was Tony Stark doing in his early 20s?
He was just doing like engineering and stuff like that for like
Right.
stuff. And once I think after like they say in Iron Man 1, after a couple of years after Howard Stark died, he then took over. Like they say, the prodigal son returns, so stuff like that. So
Right.
he was fairly young when he took over.
But they didn't bother to have him cameo in this film.
I mean, would you blame Robert Downey Jr. to say no?
Fair. That's true. I mean, like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was already in Spider-Man anyway, so.
Yeah.
And because of Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
and also because of the cast choice of Iron Man, it's not like you could have used another actor. It's not like Howard Stark where you could use two actors.
Yeah.
Like because of Civil War, it's literally his face. It has to be Downey Jr. in the role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, oh my God, Ronda Rousey had expressed interest in playing the title role.
They're
The
about
question is,
honestly,
yeah,
they're just kind of the same ability in terms of acting. But at least Ronda Rousey is a hateable person, but in WWE, that's what she's meant to be right now as a heel. So, but as a face, she just.
I feel like if you made her Captain Marvel, it would have been too like too much stunt casting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though Brie Larson is trash, like at least it's not stunt casting.
No.
Marvel shouldn't do stunt casting like that. It would just be weird. Like imagine if like I don't know, like I can't think of an example. Oh, fucking I don't know. Like if Dwayne Johnson was in one of these films, it would just feel so weird
Yeah.
because they're just not. They're the same person in every film they're in.
Yeah.
They're not characters.
No.
What? What the fuck? Hang on a
What?
second. This film features one Best Actress Oscar winner. So
Is
apparently,
it? No.
it says in I is this true? It says here that Brie Larson won Best Actress for the film Room at
She's
the
not in Room though.
Oscars.
She's not in Room though.
From 2015.
Oh,
Not The Room.
right.
No.
Right. I didn't realize she's in Room.
Do you think someone would Best Actress in
Yeah,
The
I
Room?
was just think. I thought you said The Room. I think you said The Room, but I took that as literally in quotations The Room in quotations.
No.
She's in Room. I've never seen that, so I wouldn't know if she's good or
She
not.
won Best Actress at the Oscars.
She's won an Oscar.
She won Best
Then
Actress.
why is she so shit in this then? All right, but if she's won an Oscar, why is she so shit in this then?
She not only she won Best Actress.
Is that why you think she's so full of herself in the interviews because
What
she's won
the
an Oscar?
fuck? Best? How? I don't understand. So,
I mean, it seems like I'm on the Wikipedia for Room now. It
Best
seems like
Act-
that. This
Best
seems like a very Oscar film, I would say. So
Best Actress 2015 or 2016 or whenever it was.
it was 2015.
Yeah, I know, but the Oscars may have been in 2016. You never know.
Yeah, it would have been the 2016 Oscars. But what the fuck? That must be why she's so full of herself because like. But okay, to be honest, to me, that makes it even worse because then there are times where she can be a good actress, but in Captain Marvel, she's shit. Like, what the fuck?
How did she win Best Actress for anything?
So that must be why she was probably chosen for this role because she's won an Oscar in a main female role.
Is this the
great.
same? Is this the same year that? Was this the same year that bloody DiCaprio won it for The Revenant? I'm pretty sure it was
2015.
2016, I think.
Yeah, 2016 Oscars released in 2015. It must have been, yeah.
Fuck. So DiCaprio gets it for not his best role. Like he gets it because he had other roles that should have won, but they realized that too late, and then they gave it for The Revenant because they're like, well, we need to give it to him before he, is too old. And then they give one to Brie Larson because why?
I haven't seen Room, so I can't.
Even if Room is as good as fucking Citizen Kane, I still don't understand how she won Best Actress.
She must have like a really good performance in that, but that just makes it worse because she has a horrible performance in this film. Like, I don't like her in this film. I don't like her performance. I don't like her acting. I don't like the way she quips. And I don't like the writing around her that makes her seem like she's as charismatic as the writers think she is, but Brie Larson isn't. And that's what drops it to a screaming halt. God, now I'm like wanting to see what she's like in Room. And if she's actually like good in it, I'll be like, then where the fuck was this in Captain Marvel?
Fuck.
Unbelievable.
Fuck. I'm so just.
Taking it back from that.
I'm so taken aback. Fucking hell. How the hell? Maybe she did phone it in.
That's the only explanation I can come up with.
Hang on, I'm going to look up Samuel Jackson. Because it says here that he's been a nominee.
He's never won an Oscar. Oh, God.
Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson is a nominee, yet Brie Larson won Best Actress. He's the best part of this film, and she's the worst part.
Yeah.
Jude Law hasn't won one either.
No. But to be fair, in this film, he's not great. But it's because of the writing they give him and the character they give him.
I fed up with this world.
I would watch The Room over Captain Marvel any day of the week.
Absolutely. The Room is like the Love and Monsters of cinema.
Mm-hmm. If anybody like goes on YouTube and watches people's reactions to the film, like cinema reactions to it, it's the funniest thing in the world.
OSW's review is fucking gold.
Yeah. Every time the camera's panning, everyone shouts go, 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 and it's so great. It's so funny. With this film, it's just trash and nothing's good about it in terms of redeeming it. There's only a few things that I like. Stan Lee's cameo is the one thing I love. Everything else can literally stay in the trash where it belongs.
So what's your conclusion and rating out of 10 then?
Captain Marvel is a massive, massive piece of garbage. It is an insult to the continuity and lore of the MCU, especially the whole Nick Fury getting his eye slashed. Like, what a fucking massive disappointment for something that could have been so interesting in this film that they set up in Winter Soldier. It could have been so interesting. Granted, probably a very minor thing, but even then, they waste it with a fucking dumb joke. Everyone's performance in this film is not their best, but most of them are terrible. Brie Larson especially. The fact that we've just found out that she's won an Oscar for Best Actress in 2016 is ridiculous, because that shows that she can be a good actress. But in this film, she's the worst part about it. This film, I don't want to watch again. If I ever watch it again, it will be for like looking back on the films and see if I think it's as bad as I think it is. But for right now, this film is fucking terrible. Now, the thing I'm thinking is it worse than Incredible Hulk or Thor Dark World? Because I think it's in that area. Legitimately, I think it's in that area. It's just, do I think this film... You know what? I don't think I would have been this bad at Thor Dark World. I gave that a 3, I think, when we did the rankings for all the films. So you know what? Captain Marvel is getting a 2. Because Captain Marvel is a fucking insult. Considering how important this film was meant to be, this film fails.
Worse than Thor the Dark World and Incredible Hulk.
Captain Marvel is a horrible film. It is the worst film in the MCU. 2 out of 10. And the only reason it is a 1 is because of Stan Lee. That is it. I can't give it a 0. I could give it a 0.5, but it's not like all over the place. It's not like horribly edited together and stuff like that. Like, not like Room, stuff like that. But it's not a 1 because of Stan Lee. If Stan Lee wasn't in this film, or because of his cameo, this would have been a 1. So yeah, I'm being generous because of Stan Lee. 2 out of 10. Fucking trash. This film is hell bent. This film is the hell bent of the MCU. I'm saying it right now. Now, every film, if you ever do a film review for worst of film history films, and it has to be compared to this film, if you ever talk about a bad film.
Okay. Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World has great CGI, and it has Loki, and it has Chris Hemsworth biceps. Incredible Hulk.
First half an hour is decent because of location.
Brazil's cool. The Spanish lady that he flirts with before Betty Ross is actually kind of nice. The shot where his blood drops into the bottle's cool. Tony Stark's cameo.
A lot of effort went into that as well.
Tony Stark's cameo is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the like effects, like with like the close-ups on like the Mr. Blue talking to him, is cool. And Edward Norton, unlike Brie Larson, is actually a good actor. He's a shit Bruce Banner, but he is at least an actor. Mm-hmm. Brie Larson went into this film having been Best Actress at the Oscars. And
maybe she had like no competition, maybe.
She,
maybe it was a bad year.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't know. I don't know what films came out in 2015.
2015. Fucking Age of Ultron came out in 2015, and fucking Scarlett Johansson's better in that than fucking Brie Larson is in whatever that shitty film is that she did called The Room.
I do hear that Room is like a great film. I have heard, but I can't believe Brie Larson is in it. I could not believe that.
I mean, okay, maybe she is genuinely brilliant in that film, but
yeah,
that makes it worse. That makes this film worse because she's supposed to be brilliant. Marvel selected her because she's an Oscar-winning actress. They thought, we need the best possible person for this role, so we're going to pick the person with the highest accomplishments.
Yeah,
they picked Brie Larson for that. She's got, even though we joke about she doesn't have the ass from the comics, but she's got the sort of the frame. She's got the look. She's got she's got a very marketable presence. Well, not presence, but like she's basically, she looks good on posters. She's got the. You can make action figures out of her, but then in the film, she's shit. She's a terrible actress. She's the worst part of the film. In my opinion, she's the worst superhero in the MCU. This film is boring. It has fucking nothing going for it. Nick Fury's cat scratch eye thing was bullshit. The plot was bad. The villains were boring. The child acting was shit. The fact that this is a prequel to the MCU, but it does nothing with it, is shit. Stanley's cameo is nice, but it's like 1 second of the film. Mm-hmm. The start is messy. Jude Law is misused. Samuel Jackson is boring somehow. They made the most charismatic actor maybe ever boring. And the only other person that's ever done that is arguably George Lucas, but that's a whole nother review in itself. But at least Mace Windu is kind of cool. And, I think there's something to be said about the fact that I was distracted by chess while watching this film.
You were distracted by chess. That sums up the quality of Captain Marvel, because chess is known for being like the quiet, slow game of board games and stuff like that. And you were distracted by that rather than Captain fucking Marvel. An MCU film in between Infinity War and Endgame. Like, fucking think about that. This is meant to be the most important film going into Endgame, because they build Captain Marvel up to be such an important character. And they fucked it up. You'd think Stephen Moffat wrote this film. But even then, at least we can see he can make emotional stories, like Go in the Fireplace, for example. But
at least
it feels like fucking hell-bent.
At least if Stephen Moffat wrote this film, Samuel Jackson would fucking get a boner to Captain Marvel.
Now the question is, do you think it's worse than Incredible Hulk?
Well,
Because isn't that the lowest rating you've given so far?
yeah.
Because that was a 4, and that was a 4.
So I'll put it in perspective. So there's a whole bunch of films at 6. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 2, First Avenger were all 6. I think there was one other, but I can't remember. It's been a lot of them.
I think it may be Thor, maybe? I can't remember.
No, that was 6. That was 6.5,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
I gave Thor the Dark World a 4.5, which was generous. Very generous. The only reason it wasn't lower than that is because they got the main cast right. Loki and Thor. Thor wasn't great, but he was fine. Loki was great. Odin was fine. And then the side cast was pretty bad. And there is also, I can't say it now, but there's also a external reason why Dark World is not the worst, at least anymore.
Yeah,
it maybe when it came out. Maybe when it came out,
people know what you mean.
But the Avengers films that have followed since then have referenced it, like Age of Ultron and Infinity War.
Yeah, those two films have made that better because how it affects Thor.
Yeah, the only
Ragnarok as well.
I would say the only one that maybe bothered me slightly in terms of Dark World was Ragnarok, but that's a whole different tangent.
Yeah.
But Dark World is actually relevant in terms of like MCU. It's actually quite relevant to the story, even if the Earth plot is absolute garbage. Incredible Hulk, I rated lower. I gave it a 4. Lowered slightly, like a millimeter lower than Dark World, just because it fucked up the main cast. That's the main reason why I was like, that for me, that was enough for me to rate it lower just on a critical level. But I enjoyed those films about the same. They're both bad films. But at the very least, this may be down to franchise fatigue, maybe part of it. Maybe part of the fact that I watched this film in 2 halves. But I fucking hate Captain Marvel as a character. And this film overall is a dud. Bland, doesn't try anything crazy. 2 out of 10. Trash. I was thinking before I was going into this review, I was thinking 4, but in the last 2 hours, I've come to realize it's actually really bad. There's actually not a lot about this film that I could even compliment. It's just so bad.
Like I said this in the review, when I first watched it, coming out of the cinemas, I said, you know what, that's a 6 out of 10 film. It's okay. There's alright stuff about it. Samuel Jackson's great and stuff like that. But no, thinking about it in proper detail, this film fucks everything up in terms of making Captain Marvel important, making the MCU feel important, and just fucking up one of the most important films in the MCU's history. Like, this was meant to be one of the most important films in terms of introducing a character, not in terms of the MCU's Infinity Saga story, but introducing a character going forward is going to be important.
Yeah.
And they fuck it up massively.
Yeah.
They fuck it up massively. And I can't be generous like I was with Incredible Hulk. I gave Thor Dark World a 3 because I just didn't enjoy any of it. But like you said, there are some shots that are quite nice to look at. Loki's great in it. And Thor in action scene is okay. Captain Marvel. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is an absolute disgrace of a film. This is the worst MCU film, and if this film was even in the DCU, it would still be one of the worst. And DCU is bad, like, overall. If it was in the DCU, it would still be bad. It might have been worse than Justice League. It might have been worse than Batman vs Superman. Actually, no, I do think it is worse. Like, this could even... in a bad cinematic universe, this is probably one of the worst films you could have. In the way it's handled, in many ways.
What about Suicide Squad?
Oh, that's a debate of which one's worse. Not in terms of I think this is better than Suicide Squad. I would have to properly think about it.
I think the fact
worse.
I think the fact that they're already having to redo the entire fucking thing says a lot about Suicide Squad.
Thing is, some of those characters are returning, and the same actors are returning. Like Margaret Robbie might be coming back as well, and Captain Boomerang apparently is coming back as well. So,
yeah.
But talking about just this film in general in the MCU, it is the worst, 100%. If you like it, then fine. But for me, it is the worst. Thinking about it properly in depth,
it's crazy.
2 out of 10 all the way.
It's crazy because it's like the last few weeks you've been ranting about how much you think Thor: The Dark World is the worst, but now we've gotten to this point and it's like nope.
Because that's the thing is, I've only seen this film once, and that's when it first came out. But now going properly in depth with it, holy shit, there's so much wrong with it. Like Thor: Dark World is trash. I think it's trash, and I would go on a rant about it all day long. But I feel like Captain Marvel is such a more important film. And it fails so much harder because of it. That is why I think it's so much worse.
Yeah. I think, and again, it goes back to that whole thing of there's nothing worse than being absolutely bland for 2 hours. It's just so stale. Yeah. And that just about says it all.
Yeah, and the fact this is the film before Endgame as well, which makes it worse.
So I assume that especially because the film before Avengers was First Avenger, which was perfectly tied into the whole story. Then the film before Age of Ultron was Guardians, which was a great film. And the film before Infinity War was Black Panther, which was a really good film. So it's this one is what the fuck? Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that the little nap that Marvel had in between the two films is definitely the lowest point in the MCU. Ant-Man the Wasp and Captain and the Wasp, I don't mind. It's there. I don't mind it. But when paired with Captain Marvel, you realize how low they went in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Very lazy.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what I was saying in the Black Panther review. I was saying I want more crazy shit like this. When I was talking about Black Panther, I was like, the visual stuff was great, and I wish the story was more crazy. Then it went in the opposite direction. It went backwards. Got more bland, less interesting.
Yeah.
So, with that over and done with, I guess. Well, next time tomorrow we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. So, and hopefully it'll be me, you, Anthony, and Adam. I'm pretty sure it's me, you, and Anthony for sure. Not sure about Adam, but hopefully he'll be on it too. And I'm sure it'll be a big one because obviously it's a big film. It's arguably the biggest film in the entire MCU. Possibly. Yeah. Who knows? Don't know.
It depends on how you think about the build-up for both Infinity War and
Endgame. If you consider a finale the vital point, it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, without leaking any further thoughts on Endgame, we will leave you with that message. See you next time for Avengers Endgame. Fuck Captain Marvel.